Welcome to the Disney Wedding Podcast. This show is brought to you by Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, the only guidebook and bridal organizer tailored exclusively to Disney's fairy tale weddings at Walt Disney World. I'm Carrie Hayward, and each week I feature Disney wedding updates, money-saving tips, and interviews with wedding vendors and real Disney couples. I also cover honeymoons, anniversaries, and engagements at the Disney parks and resorts. Join me now as the Disney Wedding Podcast celebrates romance at Disney destinations. Today on the Disney Wedding Podcast, I am speaking with Jasmine Haliday about her wedding at Paradise Cove near Walt Disney World. I thought you guys would be interested to hear how she decided to have her wedding there and how she planned everything and how it all turned out. So welcome, Jasmine.
Hi.
Thanks so much for being on the show today. I always like to start at the very beginning and find out how you and your fiancé decided that you wanted to have your wedding at Paradise Cove.
We originally were doing Disney Fairy Tale Wedding at Epcot. Unfortunately, we had a lot of issues up until the week before our wedding, and we just didn't do it anymore. So we ended up reaching out to Paradise Cove, and luckily they were able to take us in less than a week. They literally put our wedding together in about 4 days, and you cannot tell that they put it together in 4 days. It was a hectic but great turnout.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And so then did Disney give you your money back?
No, they did not. We're currently still trying to figure out stuff with them. We may be having a vow renewal very shortly with them since it was too close to time. It was a lot behind that story. But yes, I believe we're going to have a vow renewal shortly with them with the money that they didn't give us back.
Interesting. And then how did you choose Paradise Cove for your last minute wedding?
Yes, so I actually, with all the groups we have online, of course, with weddings, on our Disney Fairy Tale wedding page, I've seen a few couples, literally someone who had a wedding maybe like 2 weeks before all of my madness started. And I saw that she had like the Cinderella stepsisters and Giselle and all that there. So I was just like, oh my gosh, that seems like a pretty place. And it was beautiful. We ended up going to view it. I believe it was like maybe that same day we decided we were just going to book it after we talked to them. And we went to view it just to make sure, even though we really didn't have much of a choice, our guests started to arriving in Florida as we were still booking somewhere. So we fell in love with it, thank goodness, and they were able to put together an amazing event in little to no time. So,
Wow, okay. So how did your guests react when they first found out that you were getting married in Florida? And then how did you let them know about the change?
yeah, so everybody was excited and everybody expected me to get married in Florida. Even before we moved to Florida, they already knew that we were going to end up being in Florida, whether it was Disney or not. But everybody was super excited to come to Florida, have their vacation, and also celebrate us. So the easiest way for us to actually, when we told everybody we had to make some changes last minute, we had to basically word of mouth, text and call everybody and double check, triple check, make sure everybody knew what was going on. And luckily our welcome event still stayed at Splitsville, so that worked out and we were able to make sure everybody knew where they were going at for the wedding the next day.
Got it. How many guests did you invite and how many made the trip?
We invited 150 people and about 90 showed up, maybe 80-ish. I want to say it was about maybe 85 because 5 of them couldn't stay anymore because we had to change the date and they already had flights and everything. So 5 of them had to leave, but they still came to celebrate us, and then they had to leave. They couldn't make it to the actual ceremony.
I see. So you pushed the date back.
Yeah, so our original date, unfortunately, was booked out for Paradise Cove. And since Paradise Cove is an all-inclusive, like you're the only person that can have the event, which I love, there was no more space. They only have 2 slots a day, so.
I see. Okay. Do you feel comfortable talking about why you decided to move away from Disney at the last second?
Yeah, sure. So the communication, which I'm sure a lot of people already know, isn't the best with Disney. We were very strict with our planner that we have this budget. Can we do this before we even got digging into Disney? We had a strict budget of $45,000 with a little layover of my dad was like maybe 50, 55,000 if it got crazy. Our planner said, okay, that's fine. That's still a decent budget for our 100 people that we were planning on. Of course, people don't show up. We were planning for 100. Unfortunately, when we got our first BEO, which wasn't until the end of January, which was way past our 90 days, everything was basically messed up on the BEO, like really, really bad to the point I couldn't believe it. I think she got us confused with another couple because everything on it wasn't anything that we asked for. The only thing that was correct was my Cinderella carriage and the locations. But she had like Major Domo up there. She had like five characters, which was great if I could afford that. But I was like, all I asked for was Mickey and Minnie and the carriage, and that was our only like big special thing we are gonna do, and the ride mixed in. But it was terrible to the point that we did have to escalate it. Unfortunately, she took weeks and weeks to even respond to us with general questions before we even got the first BEO. And it took her up until the mid March, which was a whole nother month after this, to even get us back the next BEO, which was still incorrect.
Hmm.
So the communication, and my parents are really old school. They're like, we're paying all this money. It needs to be correct. We need communication. You want all this money, but nothing is correct. So we decided to ultimately just scratch the whole thing, unfortunately, last minute, since we couldn't come to agreement with Disney and they couldn't get it together at all. So we did lose money on it, but that's what we were thinking about, just going ahead. Talking to the head man, he did say, well, we can push it back. You all can do a vow renewal. We can try to make it right in some way. So we're thinking about just doing that. But Paradise Cove was so accommodating with our last minute changes. I still got everything plus more with them, which I'm sure we're going to talk about in your next questions.
Yeah, so then how did you find vendors? Like, I could tell you, you probably already had a photographer, but how did you find vendors at the last minute for everything you needed?
Oh my goodness. So I actually originally had a videographer, but unfortunately with my date changes, it was the weekend of the eclipse, I think. Something big that happened last year. So she had already planned to be at the eclipse, so I get it. So we didn't have the videographer anymore. My photographer, she actually came from New York, and that was her kids' spring break. So they were already going to be here the full week 'cause she was just going to make, the wedding her spring break week for the kids too. So she was already here anyways. She was perfectly fine with adjusting their schedule that she had with the kids and to my wedding. Randy Clark, who was my officiant, she also luckily had a space still available for the day for us to move over. So that worked out. The DJ, they are already booked it through Paradise, so that was perfect. I didn't have to worry about that part. And the cater and all that, they already did all that. I didn't have to worry about any of that. So that was great.
Did you pick a new menu? Did you just go with a recommended menu? Like, how did you do that on such short notice?
It was so fun. It was blind. It was a blind. It was blind. So we had to, since originally we were supposed to do a farewell luau theme event at the end of our wedding. So we decided to basically combine the two that we were going to do. Our wedding was originally supposed to be a brunch. Now it was a lunch, which we were fine with because everybody didn't have to wake up as early anymore. Everybody was happy with that part. So we decided to do a island theme menu because she had a few menus for us to try out, to pick through. Unfortunately, we didn't get to try any of them. So we're just blinded and praying and hoping that it was really good or not. And it was good. Everybody's still raving about it. She also, which is amazing, my parents they love to cook. We were able to also do our own cocktail hours. They still gave us our own little things, but my parents were able to make their own things that they wanted to serve our guests, which I don't know why they want to do that. We're already paying for it, but whatever. They decided they wanted to add their own things to the cocktail hour too. So we brought those food that they cooked. I think they made like shrimp cocktail and some other stuff of their own that they wanted to serve to the guests because at Disney we couldn't do that. So they were so happy they were able to feel like they contributed physically to something there. So that was fun to pick out the menu and everybody was good. Yeah, it was so good.
Now, what did you do about a cake? Or were you not planning to do a cake?
Oh my goodness, that was a fun part too. So luckily, if everybody's from Florida or where you from, Publix has great cakes. We couldn't find a baker in time. That was the only thing that we could not get in time. But so Publix it was. We got a two-tier from Publix. What, $120? We stuck some flowers in there. My planner did the day of. She stuck like some of the flowers we had left over from when she already had set up everything, and she stuck them in the cake, and it was good. Can't go wrong with service cake.
Agreed. Okay, so for the DJ, did you have time to chat with the DJ about what kind of music you wanted or any requests?
Oh my goodness, yes. I can't believe I actually had time to actually talk to the DJ. I did. I was able to talk to the DJ, let him know what I wanted our songs to be when we walked out and what type of vibe we wanted the whole time, all that. Don't know how that worked out, but I ended up talking to the DJ in the short amount of time.
And did you add any other kind of entertainment to the ceremony or the reception?
Yes, I did. So this part is where I'm just like, Disney, oh my goodness. So my brother actually surprised me with a few things that I had no idea. He's my little brother, even though he's grown, but he's little. He knew how I was heartbroken with the whole Disney situation. He still wanted to bring the Disney magic to the wedding. He actually had Cinderella announce me at the ceremony. Cinderella came out and announced that I was coming, like I was coming in. She walked down the aisle a little bit and did like a little swirl. I wish I didn't see it, but everyone was like, oh my God, it was so, you know. She came out and announced me, and then she came to the carriage. When I pulled up in her carriage, she came out and helped me get out, and we took our little pictures and things, and she basically walked me and my dad halfway to walk down the aisle, and it was like the most magical thing ever. So she came out, and then after the ceremony and everything, Ariel came out next. I didn't know she was coming too. So Ariel came out as well and played with the kids, and we had a good time with both of them out there, took pictures. And then during our reception, like when we started eating and things, they actually had a luau show. Like we had a fire dancers and a whole show during while we were eating. I had no idea they were doing that. So it was very surprising that they could pull this off in less than a week. It was literally less than a week, and they were able to book all these things to be there for that day.
That's amazing. And did I see a picture of you guys with a horse? Was that the horse from the Cinderella carriage?
Yes, 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 yes. So the horse from Cinderella's carriage, they were able to bring him out, and we were able to take pictures of him on the beach. I was blown away because we didn't had no idea. Like I didn't even know I was going to get Cinderella carriage to begin with, but that was just another big surprise that we were able to take pictures with just him on the beach. It was great.
That's awesome. Okay. Can you give my listeners a timeline of how the day all fit together?
Yes. So I know my husband got at Paradise Cove about 7:30 because she wanted him there before I got there. And then I arrived about 8:30. The ceremony started at 9 a.m. The cocktail hour was about 9:30 a.m. to about 10:30 a.m. And then we started the reception part, and that lasted till about 2:30. Yeah, about 2:30.
Okay, got it. And you mentioned that you did an event, like a welcome event at Splitsville?
Yes, so we did Splitsville, which is amazing, a perfect, affordable option if you don't want to go through Disney. We almost went through Disney for that part, but we didn't. We just booked a few lanes upstairs. We requested the lanes upstairs where it's like a private little section. We told them how many people we were going to have. We booked some lanes and bought some pizzas and appetizers, and then some of our guests ended up helping us with that too because all the craziness that was going on. They were like, "No, we got it." Everybody just kind of pitched in and paid for, bought pizzas and wings, and it was happy hours, so it was drinks. It was just a lot of fun. Definitely, if you book anything during the week at Disney Springs, there's always going to be a happy hour or something going on, which helps a lot.
That's a great tip. Okay, so out of all of this, what ended up being your favorite memory of your wedding day?
My favorite memory, I want to say Cinderella announcing me. That was something I knew I would have never gotten at Disney. That flexibility of just the being able to do that, like it was just such a magical random moment for me. It was great.
Now, when you were planning, and I know this is a little tricky because you planned two weddings pretty much, but were there aspects that were most important where you focused your attention or your budget?
Yeah, so entertainment was my main focus, and food, of course. I didn't care so much about floral and things like that. I've been to a million weddings and I can't even tell you what people floral look like. So I felt like the entertainment and if everybody's having fun and having a good time, that was all I cared about. So that was main reason. And the same thing when I was doing Disney, it was entertainment. I was gonna do the characters and the carriage, so I still had that element, even though it looked a little bit different.
Got it. And so for floral, how did you do your bouquet and any other floral that you had for this last minute wedding?
I am a DIY bride. I am that girl. I ended up buying mine off of Shein because I didn't want to pay the Disney price for the bouquet that I was never going to use again. So I ended up doing a bouquet off of Shein. My floral at the wedding that was included with everything, like everything. And like I said, I don't mind speaking about how much that ended up being because a lot of people need to know that Paradise Cove is so affordable. So everything that came with that was also like the floral. All I had to do was pick out what colors I wanted the floral to be, which chairs and tables that I wanted, and all of that good stuff. They had a lot to choose from their vendors that they use. So it was great.
That's interesting. Do you remember the cost of the package you picked that let you choose all of these things?
Yeah, so it was less than 20,000. I want to say it was literally like 18,000. I kid you not. And we were paying for because we knew a few people didn't come. We paid for 95 guests. And that's with everything that I told you, minus the characters, which my brother told me the characters and the carriage together was $1,200. That's it.
Wow.
Disney is $6,000. So
Right.
yeah.
Just for the carriage.
Yeah. And that's for the carriage and the two characters. So I can only imagine if we had more time and I actually had planned out, more, I could have gotten even more. And we saved a lot of money. My dad was super happy. And yeah, it was great. And oh, I forgot to talk about the open bar. They have a bar package or you can bring your own alcohol. We opted to bring our own alcohol because I have a Sam's Club membership and we got the big bottles. We bought a whole bunch of those, and it still was cheaper than what they were going to charge per person for it instead. And you were able to bring your own alcohol. They already give you unlimited beer and wine, which was still great. Still in that price range that I told you, under 20,000. That was decor, that was food, that was the DJ, like all of that included. The only thing we brought was the cake, and we brought the alcohol, which I think we spent maybe $500 on alcohol, and that was it. And then the food that my mom and dad wanted to bring for the cocktail hour.
Got it. Okay. So then, were there any aspects when you were planning that were less important, where you were already planning to save your money or your effort?
Yeah, so I think my less effort was definitely the decor. I didn't really care if we were using the standard, whatever the standard was. It was, I knew that entertainment and having fun was more important versus the decor and flowers. But at Paradise, I ended up getting flowers, even though I wasn't going to spend that at Disney. So it worked out.
That's wonderful. Usually I ask, did anything go wrong or not turn out like you expected? Obviously, having to change your entire wedding plan a week before was a pretty
Yeah.
big deal. Was there
Yeah.
anything else that just you didn't expect? And then how was that resolved?
The only thing that really went wrong, other than everything else, I think with the one small thing that we randomly like, I didn't have no. My dad forgot 2 bottles in the car, and I think we started running out of alcohol, and nobody thought to go look for it at this point. But that was the only minor thing, which I was just like, whatever. Everybody just drink wine and beer now. But it was two. We ended up finding 2 bottles of alcohol like the next day, and all we do was laugh. And we opened it up. It was like, okay, I guess we're drinking now.
Was there any aspect of the wedding that seemed like a big deal beforehand or you were worried about and then it turned out not to be a big deal?
Yeah, I was gonna say the weather, since everything of mine was outside, including the reception part. I was worried about it being too cold or start raining since I did have an April wedding. I was worried about that. I did have a huge wedding party. I was worried about how we're all gonna look up there. But other than that, everything I was worried for no reason because everything ended up working out.
With having a huge wedding party, how was that with using Paradise Cove's little cottage to get ready in?
Oh yeah, so it was really nice. I ended up putting my dress on in there. I did have all my bridesmaids already dressed and everything. The only thing I did was put on my dress after my photographer took pictures of it. It was good actually. It was AC and everything good. Really nice in there.
That's great. Is there anything you know now that you wish you'd known when you were planning?
I would have just went with Paradise Cove to begin with, honestly, since it was just such a seamless, even with the chaos of it being so last minute. They were so attentive to me, called me, text me. Like I was able to feel like I was a part of the planning process, and felt like I was important. Even though I know they had a million other couples, I still felt important. So I would definitely just would have went full on Paradise Cove. But now I will say positive on this with Disney. My new planner, she is amazing. I just wish I would have had her the first time. Then we might have would have been able to just do Disney then. She's everything that I just basically said that Paradise Cove was, that I wish all the planners at Disney was.
That's interesting. So then, do you have any tips or advice for couples who might be considering a Paradise Cove event as an alternative to Disney weddings?
Yes, do it. Just do it. If you want to save your money or even just go big or home, they have so many options that we didn't even do. That's why I wish I had a little bit more time. They had options to do jet skis if that's your thing. They had boat rentals out there. It's amazing and they're so nice and they will work with your budget. If you don't have a huge budget, it's fine. You can come there and still do amazing wedding. It's beautiful out there. Everybody's so nice. It's all inclusive. It's all yours for your whole event. Nobody else can come on property. Do it.
Well, Jasmine, I think you've offered a lot of great tips and advice for anyone who's interested in getting married or having a vow renewal at Paradise Cove, and I appreciate your taking the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Maybe you'll see me for part 2.
That's our show for today. I'm your host, Carrie Hayward, inviting you to join me again next week for another episode of the Disney Wedding Podcast. Past shows and tons of photos for each episode are available on my website, DisneyWeddingPodcast.com, or listen in your favorite podcast app. And for instant answers to all your Walt Disney World wedding questions, check out Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, available as an interactive ebook with continual free updates at fairytaleweddingsguide.com.